A good enough Shabbos, everyone. Or Shabbos. Parshas Behar Bechukosai, the end of Vayikra, 2 weeks before Shavuos. We read in this week's Parsha, the second of this week's Parsha, the Torah, the curses that are read twice in the Torah, once here and once in Sefer Devarim and Parshas Kisavo. The curses that are leveled against the Jewish people if they don't follow the Torah. And we make a statement that if you look carefully, 2 weeks before Shavuos, we read the Torah and Vayikra. 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah, we read the Torah, we read the curses in the book of Devarim. Now, rabbis tell us that the reason that the year was set up and gerrymandered this way specifically in the Parshas was so that Shetichla Shana V'Kil Esau, that the year ends and its curses go. I can understand that statement when we talk about Rosh Hashanah, that the year needs to end. We're about to start a new year. End the year, remove the curses, and then start the new year. But what kind of new year do we have now? Why is that concept apply? Tichla Shana, read the curses now, and Davka before Shavuos. Shetichla Shana, that a year should end, V'Kil Eseha, and let the curses go also. Why now? So rabbis tell us that in fact on Shavuos we are judged for Peres Ha'ilon, for the fruits of the tree, for how fruitful our trees are going to be. And therefore it is like a new year. And therefore, Tichla Shana, let the year end, V'Kil Eseha, and take its curses with it. The only problem with that is that the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah tells us that there are 4 Rosh Hashanahs. If there are 4 Rosh Hashanahs, then this should happen 4 times a year, not 2 times a year. We should have 4 sets of curses in the Torah, and they should be gerrymandered to be read right before, 2 weeks before that particular new year. So why now, Davka? Why are we focusing on Peres Ha'ilon, on the fruits of the tree? You know, it's fascinating that there are a lot of parallels between a human being and a tree. The Gemara tells us that one of the rabbis turned to another and said that I feel like the way I need to praise you is Elon, Elon, B'ma Averecha. And he describes him as a tree. How can I bless you? Can I bless you for shade? You give shade. Can I bless you for fruit? You give. Can I bless you for being beautiful? You're beautiful. So I'm going to bless you that your children that come from you should be just like you. But we use the tree as a metaphor for this incredibly beautiful blessing. We know that the Torah tells us, Kel Demetz Sada, actually asked us a question, but man is compared to a tree in a field. Man produces fruit. The tree produces fruit, and man produces fruit. A tree has roots, a tree has a trunk, and a tree has fruit. And that's comparable to a person. Person has Torah, person has Tefillah, person has Ma'asim Tovim. There are so many different kinds of parallels. That a lifetime, that everlasting life was planted inside of us. Planted. Again, using the metaphor of trees. We're compared so many times to trees. You know, it's fascinating when Hashem said, when he created the world, the Torah tells us, Vayitzar, he created. And the word Vayitzar is written with 2 yuds. Our rabbis tell us that why is it 2 yuds? One of the explanations is that there were 2 creations. Hashem created the world, but then he created us to continue creating the world. And that just like Mechadish B'tuva B'chol Yom Tamid, just like God renews his creation every single day, we were also given the task to renew ourselves every single day, to recreate ourselves every single day. Shavuos is that time that we're given the fuel, the ability to be able, the strength, to be able to continuously recreate ourselves. When it says that on Shavuos we're judged for the Peres Ha'ilon, what it really means, we're judged on our Peres, on our spiritual fruit, what we're going to produce. What are we really going to accomplish this year spiritually? How much siyata d'shmaya, how much divine help we're going to have from this year to the next year. Are we going to be productive? Not in our material lives, but productive in our spiritual lives. And that's why we say, Shetich Lashon V'kil Leisah, let the year end, V'kil Leisah, and take the curses, take the impediments to our spiritual growth, and just leave them behind. And then we can really fly. You know, it's fascinating that trees are always found at the beginning of things. Take a look at the beginning of the world. The whole debacle of the tree. We come out of Egypt. We're about to be created as a nation. We come to the bitter waters. A tree is thrown in and turns them sweet. We're about to come into Eretz Yisrael. The commandment that we have when we come into the land, the first thing that we have to do, Ki savo el haaretz, unetatem kol eitz ma'achal, we have to plant fruit trees. There used to be a custom that they would plant trees, and when a person would get married, they would take the wood from those trees and they would make the chuppah. Whenever there's a new beginning, there are trees involved. Because trees remind us that every time we start something new, in order for it to blossom and to succeed, we have to nurture it. We have to focus on the roots. We have to focus on the trunk. We have to help those fruits produce. We have to focus on the roots, the Torah. We have to focus on the trunk, the way up, tefillah. We have to focus on the fruits, ma'asim tovim. Shavuos, we're judged on Peres Ha'ilon. We're judged on how we are like a tree, on what we're going to produce, what kind of fruits we're going to produce in our spiritual lives. Shavuos, the day that we're given the Torah. That's the moment we come back in time to that moment of our creation, the moment of our beginning as a people. As our beginning as a spiritual entity. And therefore, more than any other Rosh Hashanah of the year, Shetich Lashon V'kil Leisah, let the year end and take away all of our impediments to our growth, so that we can start fresh. We can start new. Shesulim B'veis Hashem B'chatzis Elokeinu Yafrichu, that we're planted in the house of God. And when we are firmly planted in the house of God, then B'chatzis Elokeinu, in the courtyards of God, Yafrichu, we're going to grow and flourish. And that's what's in our minds now. In the last week, before the receiving of the Torah, before renewing our commitment to our own spirituality and our own growth, the first stage is this Shabbos, is removing the impediments. Get rid of the klulus. Get rid of the stuff that holds us back. And then we can start to march forward. And day by day, in those last couple of days, keep our minds towards what am I going to be producing. And then we stand there on Shavuos and we say, Na'aseh v'nishma. We light ourselves on fire. And now we spend the rest of the year producing that fruit, living that life that we designed and dreamed about in the days before the giving of the Torah, in the days before Shavuos. That's the importance of this week's Parsha. Sur Meirah. Get rid of the negative stuff so that we can fly and flourish. V'aseh tov. And do the best. Do the most beautiful things that we are potentially capable of doing. Have a beautiful Shabbos. An amazing couple of days in preparation for Shavuos. And we should be zeicher to reach incredible heights and see incredible fruits in our lives.